Hi and welcome to Tweenies Spot show here on TV Sapientia. I am Oma, your very sweetheart on radio and TV. Tweenies Spot show, we discuss issues that concerns teenagers, and of course, we give them pieces of advice that will help them become better individuals. Over the course of the time, there was this news about Whitney Adediran, a student of Crestline School, Lagos, who was electrocuted. She passed away, and just before the general elections, she was buried. But because of the general election, we couldn't even talk about it here on Tweenies Spot show. But today we'll be discussing that, and I have with me Victor Mirak from Personal School of Learning, right?
Sure.
Glad to have you on set with us.
Thank you so much.
It's been a long time.
Sure.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm so fine.
Glad to be here with you. So, we're talking about Whitney Adediran, that student of Crestline School who died of electrocution. And of course, before we came on air, I was just telling Victor everything. They went for inter-house sports. All right, they went to Agege Stadium in Lagos, and in the process of everything, we don't really know all the details. But what we were told, especially the interview of the father that I watched, the father said they went for an autopsy, and the autopsy revealed that the daughter was electrocuted. But before the autopsy, he said that the school did not tell him the truth, because he kept asking them, he kept demanding to know the cause of death of the child. Because according to the mom and the father, when they dropped their daughter in school, she was hale and hardy, she was okay, she was perfect, there was nothing wrong with her. Only for them to be called to come and pick their daughter, that their daughter is dead. Now, it's really a very sad situation for any parent anywhere, because nobody prays to bury his or her child. Okay. As a matter of fact, I watched the video of the burial and I was heartbroken, seriously, because the mom, she kept shouting, she kept crying, unconsolable. I mean, she was crying. But the thing, what we are looking at right now is how can, of course, you, Victor, you go to schools and you train them.
Sure.
In all the schools you've been going, there could have been things you've seen and you are taken aback. You're like, why should this school be like this? There are things that you see and you are like, are this school serious? What they're doing, are they really serious? Now, considering this whole scenario,
sure.
Because I know, even though we had the elections, I know that in their homes that they are still grieving.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're still grieving because she was buried, I think, last month. Yeah, just before the heat of the election. I know they're still grieving. Okay, so what would you advise parents? What are the factors? Let's start with what factors should parents consider before taking their children, their teenagers, to a particular school?
All right, thank you so much, Oma. Once again, it's nice to be here. I would like to say that every parent should be conscious. First of all, I extend my condolences to the family of the deceased. It's quite pathetic, but it's quite unfortunate that parents do not put certain things into consideration before enrolling their kids in schools. Amongst every other thing parents should know, you should be able to check the values of the school that you are trying to enroll your child into. What I mean by values is every school has values that they listed out. From the value that someone has for someone, you will know how much love and care and protection that the person will exhume for the person. So many parents do not put this into cognizance. If I don't have value for a thing, I won't give my time, I won't give my money into it. I won't even take cognizance of what is happening around. So every parent should know, first, you must be able to check what are the values that this school has on these kids or on these students. For instance, if you have value for these students, you must take care of their health. When a child is behaving somehow, you must be able to know, why is this child behaving like this? What is actually happening? If there is something, there is a move that you don't like, you must be able to ask questions. Why? Because these are your topmost priority. So they must know if there are values, and some of these values are written. In fact, I know of a school that we run trainings for now.
Okay.
Once you enter the school, you will see the value well outlined. And once you enter, you read them. From there, you now know if this school can be able to help your kids. Then number 2 is the security and the risk management of the school.
Okay.
Security matters. There are some schools you will enter, you yourself, at the first entrance, you discover that your life is at risk. From the gate, entering the school. Even the security personnel that you will see may not even be concerned. I know of a school in this Onitsha. Before you can penetrate that school, the kind of security posts you will go through, it shows that they care. They will search you, search everything, know every details of why you are entering there, and we want to see. So that security aspect must be there. Then the second one is the risk. Every school that is risk conscious must know that if the building is not set right, I am considering that there can be something that has to do with an accident, collapsing of the building. If, for instance, in the lab, the structures there are not supposed, the bottles, we have broken bottles or something like that, you know that there is risk of damaging someone's maybe body or something like that. For instance, we are taught in engineering that once you enter into the workshop, you must be safety conscious.
Okay.
For instance, they will tell you if you see a wire running across the lane where you pass, it is dangerous. Why? Because it can actually cause harm.
Okay.
So they will tell you be safety conscious, pull it away, and ensure that nothing like that is. So every parent should be able to know if this school has this risk management sense. That anything that will endanger the life of the children or the life of the students must be taken into cognizance and must be worked on. I think that should be one of the things we should blame this Christian school for. You are taking your kids outside and you did not, first of all, scrutinize where you are taking them to and check the risk. Because once a child leaves his parents' house, he is no longer, or she's no longer under the custody of the parents. It is not under the custody of the school. So anything that happens to that child, the school must be held responsible.
The school will be held responsible.
So if they are risk conscious, they'll be checking what are those things that will endanger the lives of these kids.
The kids, yeah.
So once you put that into cognizance, you discover that even if you are taking them out, you are still risk conscious. What are those things that will endanger their health? What are those things that will endanger their life? What are even those things that will endanger their psychological mindset?
Well-being, yeah.
Because you don't just check physical. There are environment that you take the students to. Once they come to that environment, it will affect them psychologically on a negative aspect.
Speaking about environment, it was still in the same Lagos that some kids were being dropped by. Did you hear when that news came? Some kids died in the school bus. Still in the same Lagos, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a particular day, a particular school that the school bus, it runs shuttle bus. So one of the days, the school bus was going to convert the students back home. They were choked. They were under traffic, and the whole glasses were wind up. So a lot, I think about 2 or 3 students died in the bus because they were choked. They were not taking enough air. They were not taking enough air. So they died of exhaustion. And that story, that same family, they are still grieving, because it was all over the news. Most national TV carried it. In fact, I followed up on the news. And it was heartbreaking. It was very, very heartbreaking because it was not what the parents wanted. That's
why I said the risk aspect is of a paramount importance. In fact, every staff of the school, both teaching staff and non-teaching staff, must and should go through risk management course.
Yeah.
So that they can be able to manage the health of these kids and be able to manage the psychological frame mind of the kids. So if these things are not put into consideration, there is every tendency that you will go and just hire one useless human being who doesn't value life, and just he will mess up the life of these children. So it is very important that this is put into consideration. And every parent, once you want to enter any school, you must check Do you have a risk management course or a risk management training? Can I see a manual for it? Is there any training for this? How will these ones be trained?
Do parents ask for that?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That is what parents don't do.
Yeah.
And that is what we advocate in that parents should be doing. Because with that, I can say, okay, my child is in a safe hand. That anyone that is handling them, both psychologically, health-wise, they are intact. Right? So these are very important. Then another thing area I need to also point out the parents should also look into is the disciplinary culture of the school regarding social vices or moral vices. Very, very important. For instance, if a child misbehaves, what is the disciplinary measures that the school has stipulated that we are conscious of what is going on in the school? We value every life. And nobody should victimize the other. In case of any act such as this, in case of any damage such as this, these are the things that you face. Let me give you an instance. When I was in Christ Deakin College, there's this particular
You were
principal.
a teacher there?
No. As a student. No.
Okay.
So there's this particular principal, N.E. Olisa. This man came in and changed CKC. In fact, he was the man that changed CKC.
Oh, wow.
He's called Ukosi, one of Atani.
Okay.
Now, this man brought out rules that shaped our mindset. One of the rules is, if you fail, you fail out. No, this one is not second option, second chance. No. Once you fail, you fail out. So everyone that is entering with this mindset that this is a rule in this school. You fail out. No repeating.
Wow.
So if a parent comes in, the first thing my parents were telling me is, since it is fell and fell out, make sure you read. So if a school has a disciplinary measure, culture, well tabulated, and parents are coming in, the parent says, okay, this and this should not be done in this school. Any attempt to do so and so results to so and so. Once a parent tells the child this and keep hammering it, if they fire you from this school or rusticate from this school, don't come back in my house. That is a psychological move in the mind. The child is sleeping, it is ringing. Something like that tries to happen, it will just ring on the mind.
But I'm just thinking those kind of things, during our own days, our parents will tell us that if you fail, don't ever come back to my house, don't do this, don't do that. Can you still tell a child of 21st century, of this world, 21st century, if you fail, don't come back to my house? Won't they see it as that you're being so hard, that you're insulting? How do I put it right now?
You're having a generation of sugar-coated set of kids who were trained with Cerelac and Golden Mon.
Those are companies, though.
I think what I mean. Those companies, they are good. Those products are meant for those suckling. Let them be at home.
Okay.
But if you are a serious-minded human being that wants to become something in your life, and you want to always keep getting breastfeeded on daily basis, no, there are certain things we must outline. For instance, I can't register my child in any school that they said you don't flog the students.
Why?
Frankly speaking, this is life, and I'm saying it. Why? Because I believe that in the training of a child, it is not a one-man thing. I train from home. They train from school.
Okay.
So what am I trying to teach them? That the teacher has no right to flog you. It is only me that has right to flog you. Then when you now get to school, you mess up with the teacher. I now put myself in the shoes of the teacher. I'm happy to be the teacher, and you're messing up with me. And I don't know what to say. I said, okay, they say we should not flog you. Keep on doing what you're doing. I am not helping you. The only thing I will tell you is, be careful the way you flog. Let it not be intense. Don't flog with anger. And sometimes when you flog, let them know why you flogged them. But for me to register my child in a school that they totally and completely say that there's no flogging, my dear, they go there.
But they've actually said, if I've met a teacher in a particular school, I think last year, I registered my son in a school for extra lesson. So one of the days that I came to pick him, I kept shouting and shouting and shouting. And I asked the teacher, please get me cane. Does it mean that you people don't flog children here? He said, no, we don't flog children here. I said, really?
Okay.
I said, please, how then do you punish children? I'd like to understand, how do you punish children? They said, the teacher, a male teacher actually said that human beings are not flogged, that it's only animals that are flogged. He said that. I looked at him and I said, when you were growing up,
where you that is the parents now, when you were growing up, were they treating you like that?
Did they flog you? He said, leave them, it was our parents, but this, I'm talking about 21st century parenting and treating and training children, that you don't flog them. I said, wow, okay, all right, but don't worry, let me just take him out. I'll flog him when I get home.
That's why I said it's my personal decision. I'm not saying it is a conventional stuff and anybody should go with that. But that is one of the things I said parents should look at the human rights of the school. The human right, I mean teachers' rights, students' rights. Do they have rights? What is that right like? I want to enroll my child and I check for your human rights module, and I now saw where they said the child has the right not to be flogged. Teachers, you don't flog them because they're there. I just say, boy, girl, let's go. Let's go. Why? Because I want them to be better. Only thing I will say is, please be careful why flogging them. But for me to erase flogging completely, man, it's not from you.
Okay.
That is it. Okay. So parents should look out for some of the rights that school have placed on the kids.
Okay.
There's a particular school I entered because of the way they were pampered and overfed with milk. A child will mess up. I was outside watching a particular child, a class, messing up with the teacher. I said, for crying out loud, teacher, can't you talk? Can't you flog? What are you doing there? Trying to be a nice guy. The class filled with noise. Everything scattered. This one of them even said, sir, he was talking to somebody. This is my boyfriend. Who is it calling boyfriend? Your teacher, form teacher, who is in the class. The girl said, he is my boyfriend. Kai, I heard that from us. I said, who? I entered the class. Who is your boyfriend? Teacher. And the teacher was busy smiling. Nonsense. That's nonsense. See, there are some things that have been made as rules in school, rights of the students in school, that are useless. They are not helping these ones, my dear. That's why when they get to university, they mess up. See, I used to tell them in secondary school, I said to them, all these things we are doing in primary school and in secondary school, these people are fooling yourself. Once you enter university, it's a word of wisdom. If you mess up, you will hear me. You must be cultured. You must be trained here. And if you enter in a school where they over pamper you, and then you can stand up and talk to a teacher anyhow, and she can only warn you, and after warning, that. If I slap you, you get sense.
Oh my goodness. So okay, what other things? Okay, you've talked about rights. Now another thing. Okay, you've just enumerated all the things that parents should look out for.
Well.
Now, as a young person, as a student, okay, I've seen a student say, I don't like that school. Okay. When a student looks at a school and says, I don't like that school, is it right for parents to actually take a second look at that school, withdraw that child, or force that child to stay back in that school?
The child has been in the school and then came back one day and said he doesn't like the school anymore.
He or she doesn't like the school anymore.
You need to find out as a parent.
Okay.
There must be something he or she experienced in that school that you should leave anything you are doing and go and check.
Okay.
First, you need to sit the child down, find out what are those things you don't like. What actually happened? Tell me. If you have good relationship, that's why it's good to have good relationship with your kids. If you have good relationship with them, they will tell you about this, about that, about that. Then you, as a parent, don't just react and pick it up because your child said so. It is immaturity. You must be able to say, okay, it's all right. Take it in. Get to the school, not with the kid, but with the person the kid talked about, or with what the kid talked about. Find out for yourself. Because most of these kids, my dear, at this 21st century. These people are well advanced, more than you think. Some of them can come together, conspire against you, who cook up something, and then tell the parents. And the parents, if he or she did not check, will just come and raise alarm in school. That's why it's not wise to conclude. You come to the school, find out whether what your child said is true.
It's true.
If what your child said is true, fine and good. Go ahead and remove the child. Because if you keep the child there, it is against the child's will. And psychologically, it will affect the child's learning.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Because there is one of the things that affects assimilation. I'm an academic mind therapist. One of the things that affect assimilation is relationship. Another thing is when a child doesn't like a particular thing about something, it has a way of building what we call a thought hedge. Thought hedge is a negative thought that hinders the flow of assimilation of a thing. So once that is built, that negative mindset is built, anything you are teaching the child will not be entering. That is the danger of thought hedge. So if the child report like that, I think the parents should go find out. Then after finding out, they can now be able to know whether the child is actually framing up something.
Or actually saying the truth.
But if the child is saying the truth, you need to swing into action. Either you tell the school to stop so and so, or to work on so and so, okay? Or if they cannot work on that, since there are other areas that the school are good at, if they cannot, you can now go ahead. But if they can actually work on those areas, then let them work on those areas.
Now let's look at the teenager. Let's look at the student who is in the school. What should a student see in a school and knows that this is a red sign?
Okay.
From your experience
the student or the parent?
The student. I'm looking at the student right now. What is that thing? What should a student see and know that this is bad? This is not good for me. This school is not good for me.
We must know it differs with mindset and maturity. Most teenagers don't know what they like.
Oh, really?
So I think most times parents should have upper hand in making that decision.
Okay.
Not that the teenagers cannot, but the parents should have upper hand. Okay, the larger percentage of it should be from the parents. But on a general note, when you step into a school, the first thing you need to look at is the environment. The environment plays a huge role, because I was teaching somewhere and I said to them, color combination can affect learning.
Okay.
The environment can impede learning. So you can't register your child in a school where you look at the structure alone and then it's not actually correlating with the mind. It's actually even repairing what's supposed to come. So you don't take such risk. Number two is you now check the academic level of the school. What value do they attach in impacting knowledge, not in collecting money? Because there are big schools that are good at collecting big amount of money, but they are dishing rubbish. So a parent or a child should think, okay, this school, they teach well. They have good teachers. The way they impart knowledge, not only do they have good teachers, but they have good assimilation and monitoring system. They want to monitor the rate of your assimilation. How is this child coping? Like me, if I want to enroll my child in a school, I want to find out, as an academic mind therapist, I want to find out, do you have a department, apart from this our conventional guidance and counselor that doesn't work, they are just answering them and taking office. Do you have a psychologist? An academic mind therapist? So you
actually think every school should have a psychologist?
An academic mind therapist, for that matter. Who is an academic mind therapist? It's a person that can be able to deduce or diagnose the learning challenge of a child.
Of any child.
And then be able to proffer solution, subjecting the child under therapeutic approaches that will help the child.
Okay.
That's what makes you an academic mind therapist. So you must diagnose, and then you must send in, okay, he needs to do this. We need to subject he or she into on this CCC. We're going to build a system. This system will help over time, maybe in 21 days, in 1 month, this system can help to reshaping. So if I enter your school and I see something like that, in fact, it is my one green sign.
Okay.
Because the reason why I enrolled my child is for you to build my child in learning. So, but if you have a system, a school that only teaches them and does not assess, the assessment I'm talking about is not the rote exam, the rote test. Because test and exam can be manipulated. Somebody can even be intelligent and will not be able to do one test due to maybe one factor, illness or something like that. But when we're talking about is a system whereby the mind of the child is checked, the rate of assimilation of this particular thing. How is this child flowing with this? So when such a thing is put in place, you see that they have the learning condition of the student at heart.
Okay.
So that should be in school. That is one lookout for both parents and the teenagers.
And the students, yeah.
It's not only that my physics teacher teaches well. I'm not saying it's not good. But do you know that when you finish teaching, if you have 100% students, 75 may, because I've had experience of that, 75 may not be following.
Okay.
And if 75 may not be following, it means that 25 are following. But due to there's no time, you go with the 25. What happens to the 75? An academic mind therapist supposed to be around. As a matter of fact, supposed to enter the class most times, sit as a student and watch. Analyzing both the way the teacher is teaching and the way the students are assimilating what he said.
Wow. But all that you're saying seems far-fetched. Really, honestly, all that you're saying seems far-fetched.
It's not far-fetched.
Okay.
There's a school that I ran a training program for a school.
Okay.
I don't know whether to mention the name or not.
Okay, don't mention.
But the school contracted my organization specifically for something like that. Wow. So sometimes I enter the class, sit as a student. But the first thing I do is I tell the teacher, I'm not here to police you. I'm here to do my job. So when the teaching is going on, I'm jotting down things. At the end of the day, when you are done, I have time with the students. Wow. And with that, it can help me to check certain things.
Are you actually suggesting that every school should have an academic mind therapist? Wow. We need to conclude right now.
Thank you.
Honestly, each time you come on this program, I don't feel like letting you go. But yeah, of course, you keep coming again. Yeah. You still come again. So I will talk more. I think we need to talk more on this academic mind therapy. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today on Tweenies Spot Show. Thank you for being here. I mean, you've said so much. Parents, this is a call to parents to be responsible. Look out for these things that he noted out. Okay, don't just dump, because it looks like some parents just dump their kids. Yes. They just dump their kids in school. No, don't just send your kids, especially all these schools that seems to have big names. You know, you talked about it. You said there are schools that they are good in collecting money. They are not interested in anything. They just want to collect money. And I've come to realize that some parents, they just take their child to schools because they pay big money. Yes, and they don't even try to find out the things, the curriculum, all they do, their values. He's just said everything right now, that you should find out the value of the school, the value system, disciplinary system of the school, risk management of the school, security aspect of the school, the social vices analysis and management. All those things are needed to put into consideration. These are the things you should consider before taking your child or sending your child to any school. Please don't send your child to schools where they are going to go there and die. And remember, that time you drop your child in school, to that time he or she returns to you, the school takes responsibility of that child. It's very important. Of course, we talked to parents specifically today. I believe the next time we'll be on the show, we're going to talk to schools. I mean, we'll look at it in a very larger way. I have been Oma, you're very sweet on radio and TV, and with me is Victor Mirak from Personal School of Learning Services. He's also an academic mind therapist. We'll get to know more about that particular one in the next episode of this program. Thank you so much for joining us today. I love you so much, and of course, stay here. Bye-bye.